Morning, everybody. This is Marshall P.C. Wabash. Well, I'm working on a new Ranger style belt for my cowboy action activities, because went on the Golo and diet plan that's been on TV, and it's really not, it's just eating better. But anyways, I've lost quite a bit of weight, so my other gun belts just don't fit, so I've got to make me a new one. But I did this on my last video, but I wanted to do a little bit more on the tools used to make a Western style gun belt. And yeah, there's professionals out there that have just about everything under the sun. I wouldn't say I'm professional, but I'm pretty good. Semi. Because most of my stuff is all handmade, it's hand tooled and hand stitched. Because I just can't justify really the cost of buying a big machine unless I want one. But anyways, that might come. I just do one project at a time. Whether somebody asks me to do something for them, or I'm working on something on my own to replace ones that I've already got. And I'll probably put them for sale on my Mr. Jumbo leather page on Facebook. But I'll let you all look at them, see what they look like. You know, a lot of them are good for somebody that just wants to get into cowboy action, maybe, and don't want to spend the $450, $500 or more dollars for a belt. I don't really tool my outside of my gun belts up because to me, they're a piece of equipment. They're utilitarian, and I shoot a classic cowboy category. So what do I need a fancy rig for? It's just not me. I'm a plain guy. I like plain stuff. But they're built, and I've used some of the rigs I got over here. I used them for many years before I made my latest one that don't fit anymore. But anyways, we're going to go into the tools here. This is almost minimum amount of tools that you need to do something like this. It takes more time and effort than tools to do it. So we're going to go ahead and start over here. I use this hammer. I picked it up at a second-hand store. I like it's got a nice flat face on it. It's good for doing real brass rivets, peening them down. Now this little tool I picked up, well, I ordered it from Springfield Leather Company. It's a gauge that tells you how thick your leather is. And I'll tell you exactly what this gun belt finished thickness is going to be when we get there. Of course, we need a hole punch for making holes for the rivets, and if you're not using a regular single hole punch, you'll need it to put your belt holes in it. I use a utility knife. I don't have a head knife or anything like that, but a utility knife works just as good, and you can pick these up on the cheap. A wood slicker so you can make the edges nice and smooth so they don't dig into you. An edger to put on edge and peel it off to make it round, then you slick it up. A regular old standard Tandy leather craft tool, but it has has belt thicknesses on there, little gauges. Oops. However wide you want. I like my particular gun belts 2 inches because I think they ride better a little bit. Not so bulky in the hip area. Then we got a beveler, which is a safety beveler, which is used to thin certain portions down, like the billet end here I went from a 9-ounce thickness and thinned it down so I can make this turn nice and tight. Alright, then of course we got some dye. I did this last night. It was storming last night, so I put the oil on first. I'll be dyeing it up today. I use a 1mm, seems to be a good size for hand stitching, or the next size or two down. There's coming an 8 and a 0.8 and a 0.6. 0.6 is almost thread like. 0.8 is a good weight, and 1.0 is good for when you want to kind of laminate something. It gives you a little more body. This is a groove cutter. It rests on the side of your leather down here, and you run it along this flat edge. Will sit on the outside leather, and you'll run it right here to make you a stitch groove, and you can get amazing results by in it allowing your holes straight up down the leather, which you'll be able to see here shortly as soon as we're done doing the tool part, because I've got my new gun belt on the table, and I have it in what most things would call the exploded view, where everything's just sitting here in pieces. It's going to show you where it all goes together. These are some John James saddle needles right here, using 2 of them. Now this time, instead of using my 1/8 inch flat chisel set, I use these, which is a more nice hand stitching that gives you a little bit tighter hole. These are made by SASS. Give you, it's a 6mm. It's kind of a chiseled diamond point, pretty flat. They really go through the leather nice. Then we got a little 3/4 inch bag punch. Takes out a big chunk of leather, and that is the piece it takes out. It's where your little prong on your buckle goes, so it rides good. Of course, you've seen all before in a lighter, and that's my little roller. Once I laminate the 2 pieces of leather together, I'll roll it with this for make sure we got good adhesion. And we have the stitching pony, and this is kind of like a big old wood block key. It helps open up the pony like this. Bring the pony over, and you twist it, and it opens up your top jaw so you can slide your leather in there. Okay. Then we got the big palm thimble. You can see the steel or metal. There's some kind of metal in there that the needle rides on, so you can push it through. This is going to be my liner leather for the belt. It's 4 to 5 ounce Crazy Horse. It's the same stuff I used on my chinks. This will be the rough side will be up against my body and pants and clothes, so the belt don't slip down. It did a nice job on the chinks, holding everything in place. Now we go for the exploded view of this belt. So we come down here. All this needs to be dyed up, which I'm going to do today. I'm going to use a saddle tan pro dye because it soaks in good. Well, I'm going to put this little 1-inch buckle on it. It's got a little design here, kind of a little fancy, but I normally don't do. But that goes right on the front. That's what and your measurement is off. This is the little belt keeper, and that goes on this piece, which is the belt billet where the buckle goes. Then this is your inside keeper, because on a Ranger belt it wraps around you and then it slides up underneath of itself, not over top of itself like a traditional buckle. your keeper would be out here. But when this is assembled, it's going to be under here. You won't see it. Then this will come over top of it. And then when you put the belt on, the belt actually slides on the back side. And that's how Ranger belts hold together. So we have the exploded version of the front end. Buckle, keeper for the outside belt, inside keeper for the big part of the belt when it comes around. You got rivets here, stitch lines all around. This is where it's this piece, the billet end, is going to be stitched, and I like to put a rivet in here, so it's stitched and rivet, and I'll probably rough up this end too, so it'll have everything. Rivet, stitch, glue. This piece won't go nowhere. Then we had the big old blank piece of leather, which is the actual main body of the belt. So we get down to this end. This is the belt strap billet. That's the working hole. I haven't made it any bigger, but that's where the point on the buckle goes up in that one. That's going to be my size hole, which I've already done. Put the one in there. And then this will be a rivet hole, and the back side's glued, and it'll be stitched right here. So when it's assembled, after it's dyed, it'll go right here, and that'll be riveted in place. And this is my operating hole for where I'm going to start. And that'll give me 3 more inches of losing weight or expansion if I gain weight back. You know, sometimes that happens. But I've kind of tapered the front end of this little billet off right here. Kind of a weird little shape. That's because I'm going to put these buckle sets come in 3 pieces: the keeper, the buckle, and the tip. And this is the tip, and that'll slide right over there. I already know it's going to fit, so. And it'll look like that, and then it has 2 little screws that go in here to hold that tip on. But from the front, that's what it looks like. Got a little fancy doohickey on it with an inlaid black paint, it looks like. And that'll sit right there, on there. And then that's how this end looks. We come back down here, and now we'll do kind of a quick unexploded view. So we'll pull this out, because I got to take it apart anyway. The buckle comes around. Oops. And it slides in right there, and then the point of the buckle goes up in this hole. And that's where the bag part, see, it's the oblong hole. Then we come back around. And I'll probably put Chicago screws in here. That way, if I ever want to change out a buckle, I can just take it apart. But I'm using rivets right now for the purpose of the video. Then, the keeper that comes with the set goes on. And that goes in like that. So we got a buckle, folds over, keeper gets sandwiched between the leather. Now, this piece of leather, smooth part goes down, because that's going to be against your body. But I will probably put this on, like I said, stitch and glued right there. And with Chicago screws, I may be able to put that right there. But I'm thinking this will be a better location, because it gives when the belt wraps around you, it gives a little bit more to it. So that keeper will go there. And that's what this end looks like, kind of all put together. So that's the non-exploded view. So that would be the finished product right there. So I'll take it apart because, like I said, I got to dye everything. So as far as leather pieces go, that's 1, 2, 3. And this piece had a little bit too much stretch and I didn't like it. So this piece I laminated the backside with a piece of 4 to 5 ounce leather. So now we have a 2-layer. It's nice and solid, so it should hold really nice once it's all assembled. So in this case we got 1, 2, 3 belt keeper, belt, the actual belt, and 2 pieces here. It's a 5-piece leather belt. Alright, now if you want to see what the ones that I'm replacing, like I said, that'd be good starters. Somebody wanted to do it. One of them's kind of unique. It's my first gun belt when I didn't have a whole lot of parts and pieces to play cowboy action. It's got a little taper here, but this side is for a 38 special. But this side is for 45 Colt, and that's what I had at the time. My left gun was 38 special, and my right side was 45 Colt. It's lined with a piece of suede, and it also has another piece of leather stitched and sewed to it right there. So it's pretty thick, and it's very sturdy. But you know, if you like it, want to try to start something and want it inexpensive, we can talk. Just send a message over to Mr. Jumbo Leather. Now, which one is it? Before I decided to do classic cowboy, I use 38 specials all the time and 45s. It just depends. Now, this is what the actual finished Ranger belt will look like. There's a belt keeper, homemade belt keeper. That's leather. The inside one, but that shows you. This is the other end of the belt, how it slides up under here. Right. It makes for a nice fit. I really like how it fits. Now, these are my first holsters I made after I retired. They're kind of a Mexican loop style, but they fit. I think they go up to the 7-inch barrel. Then on the back, we have my hand-stitched bullet loops here. But that's a nice belt. I think it's a size 48 at the working hole, so it'll expand out quite a bit to about 50. Well, it's a double rig. And let's see. Now this one is not really a cowboy action belt, because it's more like a walking around in the woods. Made like a little Indian head feather here, followed up into Indian head. I was playing around with it, but it's also a Ranger style belt. But instead of, it's a right-handed host, a right-handed guy. It has bullet loops that ride over the left hip, and your holster would go on this side. It's a little Indian themed belt, some bears, little concho with a snake on it, then a star, another concho there, and then I went a little hand tool, some designs in it. And we got the phoenix, the warbird there, and another little turtle, a steer head. But I don't wear none of those anymore. Haven't in quite a while. So they're kind of up for sale. Put them over on Mr. Jumbo on Facebook, Mr. Jumbo Leather. Okay, that's Marshall PC. I'm back. The dye is dry. Now it's time to put some sealer on it. I'm going to try using bag coat. It says apply with damp rag. So I'm going to dampen my little piece of t-shirt up. I'm going to start with the small stuff here. Just a little bit. I'm going to give it a dab of sealer. Oh yeah, that looks nice. Okay, just kind of darken the leather a little bit, which is fine. It'll match the holsters nicely. Because the holsters are a little darker. Let's see, these edges look good. Flip it over to the back. That's the smooth side of the little 5-ounce piece, 4 to 5 ounce piece of that I put on there. And have that kind of a satin finish on it. Sure, as long as you know what you did, instead of trying to stress your brain out trying to remember what stuff is. Write it down. We almost got this sealed. We'll let the seal dry. Then the next step will be gluing the backer on, because this is going to be a lined belt. Like I said, I got the Crazy Horse. I got some leftover Crazy Horse from the chinks that I made. That's what I'm going to use to line it. Because it's got just enough back on it that it has a nice grip to it to keep your belt from sliding, which is always a good thing. Now, got a nice thin coat on here, full coverage. Yep, that's good. Alright, there she is. All the pieces are ready for the assembly process. So, bring them back when I do the glue, because there's one step we got to do to the other piece. Alright, be back in a second.